Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Praise and gratitude I aspire to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for the grace in the form of health so that we can get here. Don't forget to pray and greeting His might they continue to be poured out on our Lord Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Today, I'm Sadi Alvina is a moderator who will greet the meeting activities. Before the discussion begin, I will introduce our group member who will deliver the material, namely Widya Veronica, Devirianti, Nurrahmania, Depa Padilla, Nurilma Ananda Putri, Cynthia Gusti, and Nurhansa. Alright friends, let's just start with the first session, which is opening. Let's say Bismillah together. Next is the delivery and presentation of the material. I invite to Devrianti to read the first material.
Well, I will read the first material, that is staff cuts. How to get employee salaries. Here are 5 simple steps you can take to get employee salaries effectively. 1. Determine the amount of the cost to be deducted. To get started, you need to model various scenarios, starting from the optimistic scenario to the worst. Doing this will help you understand what cost-cutting steps are needed to balance your company's cost flow. For example, you need to deduct an employer's salary and cut the salary of the lead of employee by 20%. 2. Set policies on each type of employer. If you know how much salary deduction will cost, the easiest policy is to make pay cut uniformly. Your goal is a 20% reduction, like a 20% pay cut for each employer. However, this is not a fair policy. Most companies create tiered plans between the lower income groups and the highest income group bearing more of the burden. In this step, you decide on the various components of your salary and how much burden you will put on each employer group to achieve your overall reduction target. 3. Choose a cost reduction instrument. There are at least 3 ways in which you can implement a payroll expense reduction. This depends on your scenario planning and your estimate of how will recover. Will it improve in 2 and 5 months, or will it be long term? 1. Permanent payroll deduction. If you think there is no hope of recovering losses even after the situation improves, this cut is a great way to balance your cash flow. 2. Salary suspension. If you have a temporary cash flow problem and hope to recover your receivables, you can request a payroll deferral. You will pay back employees once your receivables increases. 3. Temporary pay deduction. If you are estimating the long-term impact on business and receivables, it is better to implement a temporary pay cut. You will consider a salary change when the situation improves for the business. 4. Communicate with your employees. Managing employees and communicating weekly with them is very important during the COVID-19 pandemic. Keep employees informed, no matter how difficult or unpleasant the news may be. They will respect and empathize with your decision. It is equally important to notify employees of pay cut will in advance of the policy being implemented. 5. Execute policy based on the salary reduction policy that will be applied. You will need to determine the amount of salary reduction for each employer. Once you have a list of employers and the amount of pay to be deducted for each of them, you need to make changes to the payroll. Pay attention to all other components such as income taxes and other salary components that must be adjusted. Next will be read by me, friend Nurhanisa.
Making one of the basic principles in doing business. Before you have to incur costs to buy the factors of production. Budgeting is the main instrument to help bring your company or business to success. In creation, a company must incur various types of costs. Unfortunately, not everything is cost effective. Sometimes there are costs incurred, but actually the benefits are not there. Thus, the amount of expenditure will affect the profits earned in that year. The greater the costs incurred by the company, the profits obtained are getting smaller. To avoid this, the company should begin to analyze which costs are needed and which are not. After that, you can create a strategy to reduce costs. Cost reduction is a company strategy to reduce costs. Cost reduction is the term. Cost reduction is a step to reduce the budget in accordance with the policies of each company. In determining the budget allocation, the company must have a goal, where the goal is not only for internal interest but also for investor. Therefore, cost reduction will be very important in budgeting. Here are some steps for implementing cost reduction that you should know. To run a cost reduction strategy, there are 3 things you need to pay attention to. 1. Lowering production costs. To carry out production activities, companies must prepare capital. In addition, the existing budget must also suffice for activities from the preparation stage to the final stage to the optimal development and growth stage. When the company carries out cost reduction, production costs are also included in the reduction stage. So, the manager must in such a way as to determine how the production costs will be sufficient for production activities and the results are up to standard and satisfactory. 2. Lowering the number of products. After lowering production costs, the next step is to reduce the number of products to make cost reduction effective and easy to achieve. You can reduce the number of products market because if you only do step 1, which is to reduce production cost and maintain product quality, it will be very difficult, right? Therefore, it will be better if you also lower the quantity of the product. However, in reducing the number of products, you must also adjust to the availability of production costs. 3. Lowering investment value. Investment is one way for companies to increase the value. In addition, by investing, the company can also maximize its finance. However, to implement a cost reduction strategy, companies must also reduce their investment so that the existing funds can be used to run the production process. Next.
And guys, welcome to material 3 to write the material. Salary deduction stage. 1. Determine the amount of fees to be deducted. To get started, you need to modify your scenarios, starting from the optimistic scenario to the worst. Doing this will help you understand what cost-cutting steps are needed to balance your company cash flow. For example, you need to deduct employee salary and 20% deduction from the salary of the light of employee. To set a policy on on each employee. If you know how much it costs to cut salaries, the easiest policy is to cut salaries uniformly. If your target is 20% reduction, take a 20% salary deduction for each employee. 3. Communicating with your employees, managing employees, and communicating widely with them is very important, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic. After that, tell them how difficult or unpleasant the news you deliver. They will respect and empathize with your decision. It's very important to notify employees of pay cuts well in implement. Operational costs are costs that are definitively incurred by the company in carrying out the company's operational activities. For example, in the form of selling costs, administrative costs, and so on. However, these costs do not include expenses that have been calculated for cost of goods sold and depreciation costs. How to reduce operating costs? 1. Take advantage of technology. If your business is not that big, then you can take advantage of the technology now offered by several companies. You simply recruit one person who is able to use the software for the division in question. For example, recruit 1 or 2 people and use accounting software that cannot only be used by accountants. You can choose software that is able to do your payroll work, team management, and others. So you don't have to bother recruiting many people in one team. You only need to recruit one person who is assisted by software at affordable price. 2. Hire freelancers. According to some business experts, hiring freelancers and interns is one of the most significant operational cost-saving strategies. When you hire someone on a full-time basis, you need to pay them their salary even when the project is finished. As for freelancers, you don't have to pay them when there's no work. 3. Maximize social media. The internet, especially social media, has become one of the tools for promotion. In addition to saving time and resources, content marketing and digital marketing are considered more cost efficient. You no longer need to pay for banners, shop lines, and banners. You simply create viral content and attractive images. Alright guys, we have listened to the presentation of material from our very good friend. So for the question and answer session, I invite the audience to ask question. I invite you to read the question, 3 questions for the first session. I welcome.
I am Widya Veronica. Permission to ask. The question is, in creating a production budget within a running company, how can a company address national consumer demands?
Okay, next I invite my friend to answer a question for the handlers. The way companies address seasonal consumer demand: 1. Develop a database during a particular season. Entering a particular friendly season with your business, your website and business locations will be very crowded. As more visitors arrive, use the moment to develop the database. 2. Offering discounts or promotion to local consumers out of season. Local consumers deserve more attention than you. When your favorite seasons are over and tourists and settlers have returned to their respective origins, you should be able to use the presence of local consumers to keep the business going. Give them a discount or a special promotion for a good relationship all at once as a thank you for staying with them all year around. 3. An experiment with a new product offering. There is nothing wrong with experimenting to offer new products as your glorious season passes. See if it sells well on the market and you can expand your business.
Yes, I understand. And thanks for the explanation.
I have permission to ask. In identifying use company costs, one of which is by cutting salaries, how is the right salary cuts during the COVID-19 pandemic so that every employee can still meet their needs even though they experience salary cuts?
Okay, I will answer the question, Deva Fadila. The coronavirus pandemic has adversely affected remuneration and employee salaries, which has affected many people's financial security. The Job Street survey report reveals that COVID-19 has profoundly affected the levels of percent of employees in Indonesia. As is a result of the pandemic, 34% of employees earned less or no bond benefits at all. 31% lost pay and percent had not recovered their rise. Of the number of workers who recovered pay cuts, 40% were deducted 2% of their normal salary. The economy is lopsided and business is reeling from it. To stay afloat, most companies begin measures to cut capital and reduce their spending budget. The salary fee is one of the critical components of company output. Many estimate that the especially reduced wages of employees being laid out may be one way to help business head remain intact. Deva Fadila, you understand?
Yes, I understand. And thanks for the explanation.
I am Cynthia Rismawati. Permission to us an experiment with a new product offering. There is nothing wrong with experimenting to offer new product your glorious season present. See if it sells well on the market and you can expand your business.
Okay, I will answer Cynthia's question. Then it needs ideal. Ideal is impossible without dialogue. Without dialogue, the company will be deemed arbitrary and the employees right unfulfilled. The dialogue is important and becomes the media for companies to profit background education should be taken by both management and minimizing conflict or discord. It not only benefits the company but the whole team in the organization. So, without ideal, it's against the rules. Did you understand, Cynthia?
I understand now. Thanks for the explanation, Devi.
Okay, you're welcome, Cynthia.
That was the meeting of our group. We say Alhamdulillah together. I, as a moderator, apologize for my mistake. Let's give a round of applause for all of us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.